right. I think we're back.
Okay, we're back.
Hey, everybody.
Well, we have our first blooper for our blooper reel for next week.
Right, jeez.
What in the world?
Well, it's not really the first one.
It's not the first.
Yeah, it looks like we're here. We got a better connection now, and yeah. So
Take two.
hopefully that wasn't too traumatic for you. It was a little traumatic for us. Scrambling around, turning things off, grabbing power cords.
What is going on?
Yeah, weird stuff. So
well, if you're just tuning in, hopefully you didn't see the big mess. This is our take two of the exact same video. We are Sean and Allison of Spoken Garden, and we're excited that you're here, or if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. So this is our holiday live.
Yep, happy holidays, guys. And yeah, so we're starting off our holiday episode with some fun. And yeah, again, thank you for being here. We're going to go over holiday plants and their stories today. And so before we do that, we want to tell you at least one announcement. Next week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. we'll do our last live of the year, and it's going to be Allison and I going over some of our bloopers on different projects and video and all that stuff. And we'll be talking with you about that, and maybe come swing by, say hi, and also tell us your favorite, maybe your favorite video, and if you noticed anything in some of the videos, like is there an outtake there, or anything like that. That'd be fun.
I mean, we honestly we have a huge list of outtakes. It's so funny.
Oh yeah.
Most of them are wildlife, like video bombs or whatnot. They're like in the background or buzzing by our head.
Squirrels doing photo bombs.
We've had some really funny. It's always fun to reflect and look back on the year, especially 2020. So.
Yep. What a year.
What a year.
So yeah, guys, I think that was the only announcement.
I think so. We're sorry, we're a little rattled because we had this all ready to go, and so. We are excited to talk about holiday plants. As you can see, we're kind of surrounded here by plant life. And then there's one plant not here that is unfortunately out in our garden, which we can't bring inside. So we've got a slide to show you and talk about.
Yep. So, yeah, so I guess with that, before we get going, say hi in the comments area, hopefully, if you're still here or watching it. So Perla, if you're out there, hi, Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and hope you're safe. And we saw you in the chat before, so.
I know, thank you for tuning in. Yeah. And if anyone's wearing ugly Christmas sweaters like we are too,
come on,
let us know, because you gotta represent.
Let mine
naughty
changes. Naughty, nice. I'm gonna stay naughty today.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's just that kind of day. So before we get into the list, or before we start introducing the plants, we wanted to tell you the 5 plants that we're gonna highlight today.
Yeah. 5 plants.
That's fun.
Yeah, so first off, Poinsettias.
Poinsettias. So many ways to say it.
Or as real Jingy says, Poinsettia.
Sessia.
Yes.
That's
good
funny.
one, man.
I know,
that was awesome.
Hilarious. Christmas cactus, which is here, and we've got some interesting things to discuss with you regarding this plant versus a Thanksgiving cactus.
Yeah, pretty cool
stuff. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's got a checkered past.
Checkered past.
Checkered past.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, Amaryllis. It's a beautiful plant, and
ours is starting to bloom.
This is the first one we've had in our house. This is beautiful. We've had them and seen them in other houses, and so. But this is great to have this year.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the one not here is our Christmas rose Hellebore, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
We have those out in the front yard.
Yeah.
We have a couple different kinds of those, but yeah. Oh, and last but not least, English holly. So yeah.
That's an interesting, unusual plant as well to talk about.
It is. So with that, there's the 5 plants we're going to talk about today and their history and a little bit about them. So we should just probably
we should dive in because you might have some questions and we'd love to chat with you about any of these. And if you're watching the replay, please let us know in the comments of any of these plants, which one's your favorite, or if there are other ones that we didn't cover.
Totally.
Like I can think of one, Cyclamen. That's one that some people might consider a holiday plant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So with that, let's go. Okay. Poinsettia.
I say poinsettia.
Poinsettia.
Yeah. Whatever. However you say it, it's a beautiful plant. And if you've been watching some of our videos, you know that every Friday we do a Friday plant chat, and we've actually highlighted in a lot more detail the plant care, the growing needs, and all the different characteristics of poinsettias, Christmas cactus, and we also did a Christmas rose hellebore. So those were all the Fridays this month so far.
Yep.
Just before we get going.
So if you want more information, check those out.
Yeah,
on how to care for them. So okay, so poinsettias. They're in the Euphorbiaceae.
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 Those are always fun.
It's hard to say. It's in that family, and it's native to Mexico, which is interesting. It's beautiful. It's considered a weed, or it was considered a weed down there in its native area before it was cultivated. It was collected and cultivated, and it was collected and cultivated by a man named John Poinsett. I always do that. I put point.
A lot of people say poinsettia.
Yeah, and I always do that. So Poinsett, John Poinsett, he was the ambassador to Mexico back in the 1820s, and in 1828 he actually collected some of the plants, got stem cuttings and some different things, and sent them up to his plantation in the United States, where he cultivated them in mass. But the plant itself wasn't actually thought of as a Christmas type of plant, the Christmas plant, until John Ecke.
And he was in California, and he was, we weren't sure in our research if he was an actual like plant breeder or if he was just like a hobby breeder or whatnot.
It sounds like he had a large amount of land, and he mass produced this plant. He mass produced the poinsettias, and he actually got them out to a bunch of talk shows,
like the Tonight Show,
and he sent them all out there, and he basically got it out literally in front of people to see every night, and they were for free, all the studios and stuff, they got them, and that's how everybody became so familiar with them, and how they became so popular so fast, and now they are the quintessential Christmas plant.
In fact, they are
in the U.S.
apparently the top-selling indoor plant in, I think, the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, in Canada! Wow,
it's like 250 million, or I don't think it was billion.
It could have been billion.
Might have been billion.
Yeah.
But dollars worth of revenue and just the plants themselves this time of year.
So amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I would love to know if any of you out there watching can grow poinsettias. Keep stopping and thinking how to say it.
You do it too.
I know. Well, I say poinsettia, so I'm just going to go with that. Anyway, if you grow them in your own landscape, because that is so cool, because they're so, you have to live in what, zones 13 or above? Or
yes, 13
or
above, something like that. Yeah, it's, again, watch our plant chat, and we talk about that. It needs to be warmer. It needs to be no harsh climatic conditions for cold temperatures. Actually, in its native landscape, it's an evergreen. It's a shrub. It can get up to 15 feet tall. So they can get really big.
That's so cool.
But here with us, they've been bred to be small houseplants.
Indoor plants, and in a variety of colors, like we talked about last week. Yep. But let's get into the fun. So why is this? We talked about the commercialism of it, right?
Yes.
The man that kind of got it out in front of everybody and made it become a holiday plant.
John Ecke.
But there's more to it than that.
Yeah. So the Christmas story behind it, the mythology behind it is there was a girl, and she wanted to go to church, and she wanted to give to baby Jesus as a gift during Christmas. Yeah, she wanted to give as a gift to baby Jesus on Christmas Eve services, but she didn't have a gift to give. She was very poor. She had nothing to give, and so her cousin Pedro was saying, it's the thought that counts. Anything will be okay. Anything will be fine. And she took that to heart, and so she went out into the middle of a field, out into just anywhere, grabbed this plant that was considered a weed, grabbed the modified leaves, the bracts that you see that are actually considered the flower, but they're not truly the flower. She grabbed a whole bunch of them in a bouquet, brought that to the services to give to the church for the Christmas services, and that's how this got to be popular, at least, or not popular, but that's the mythology behind it.
That's fun. That's fun.
Neat. In Mexico, there it became a Christmas plant. So.
Yeah, that's as much as we know from our research. So if there's any bit of that story that you can add to, let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, really cool. So.
I think, we could go on and on about poinsettias because they're beautiful and.
Yeah, they come in a lot of colors.
Yeah, lots of colors and.
You already said it, but say it again.
Because it's worth saying.
It is.
It's worth
We
it.
think so.
And we will be, probably next month, we're gonna show a video on how to not overwinter, but how to keep them until the following season, because you don't, a lot of people just discard them.
I know, a lot of people throw them out, and that's
Yeah.
pretty wasteful. Plus, it's a living plant. Why do we want to do that?
I know.
If you don't have to.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that is the story of the poinsettia.
Cool. Yeah. So next, one Christmas cactus.
Christmas cactus.
Bam!
Now, you guys, if you watched our previous plant chat, this thing was full of blooms because it had obviously been forced and it was in bloom. They've all kind of withered, and now we have new ones popping up. So it's not a lot to look at right now, right?
No, it's not. But it's still healthy. It's really doing well here in the house, and we're giving it that indirect sunlight. And so with this plant,
Go ahead.
oh no, you want to go ahead?
No, I was just, no, go ahead.
Okay. With this plant, it's had a couple iterations of the plant itself and how it's been bred and presented to people and marketed. The first Christmas cactus, the original Christmas cactus, actually didn't have these pointy serrated leaf margins, these edges. It actually had round edges, or what they call scalloped types of leaves that are just a lot smoother, a lot rounder. Well, gosh, it must have been in the, I think our research showed about the 1800s. They bred these, they did a hybrid, and they took two different breeds. They made a new plant called Buckley-eye, which is the hybrid species of Schlumbergera.
Schlumbergera Buckley-eye.
What a name. And so they made this hybrid, and it had a mix of both the round leaves and the pointed leaves. And there are some round leaves in here. Where did they go? They're right there. There they are, right here. We've even got some round leaves here, and there's a little bit more on the inside, but we can't really show them on camera. But so yeah, so it's a mix of those two plants, and so this is considered. A lot of people say that the Christmas cactus only has the rounded edges. Well, that's partly true. You're going to see both of those out in your nurseries, and that's sold as a Christmas cactus. Excuse me, as a Christmas cactus.
And what's interesting is there was some debate over whether this was a Thanksgiving cactus, and so that's what led us to a lot of this research and finding out that this actually truly is a Christmas cactus, which is how it was sold to us. And the fact that it has the blend of the leaves is the telling sign, because Thanksgiving cactus has the serrated leaves.
Yes, has
Like only serrated.
Only these pointed edges. Yep.
Maybe
That's
even more prominent,
cactus.
right, than this.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, we learned a lot.
Yeah, we actually, and thank you, Sherry, for bringing that up. That was awesome.
That was awesome. So we learned a lot, thank you. And again, for more plant care, just check our previous video.
Yeah, totally.
But Christmas cactus.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to get my notes out because I don't know all of these by heart yet. Because this is an indoor plant. This is native to Brazil.
Yeah.
So I want Sean to explain this really cool fact about how they even found this plant, and then that leads into the legend kind of the plant, the Christmas part of it.
Totally. So this plant is actually native to the forests of, I think it's coastal Brazil, and there's plant hunters out there, and they go out throughout the whole world looking for plants in all different places. Well, you know, the Amazon, all the different places of the Amazon, it's full of all these different plant species, things we've never seen before. And there's still a whole bunch they've never found yet, and it's going to take them years to find it. So plant hunters found this plant, and they found it not in the ground. It wasn't growing in the ground. It was growing up in the large trees in the forest, in the rainforest and such. And so it's an epiphyte. And what that means is it doesn't grow down on the ground. It grows up in other trees, other living shrubs and plants. And what happens is it doesn't drain any of the plants that it grows in of their energy. It doesn't invade them, or it's not parasitic. But what it does is it grows up in them, because in those rainforests, there's all these leaves, there's all this debris over and over and over again that it grows, it falls, it grows, it falls. Well, the shedding of those leaves in those forests accumulate in the branch, in where the branches attach, in those crooks, in those areas where the branches come to the main trunk. There's large branches that do that, and they have a large surface area, and those leaves drop down, they rot. They actually create over time new soil where these plants grow in that new soil up in the trees. Really cool.
So they found this plant in the tree, in a humid, like basically rainforest kind of jungle environment, right?
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
It's amazing. Yeah. So,
and it's been, of course, bred and
oh yeah,
experimented on and whatnot ever since.
Cultivated many times over to give us what we have today.
That's so cool. And that kind of, I love that you explained that, because that kind of lends itself to the mythology that we found about it. So I'm going to actually read this one to you because
it's pretty cool.
These came from a couple different sources, including the Spruce and Garden Supply Company, which got their sources from some other places. So, Christmas cactus. Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the jungle of Brazil, a little boy prayed to the heavens. He prayed tirelessly for a sign of Christmas, but nothing appeared until Christmas morning, when he left his hut, only to find beautiful bursts of pink and red flowers stemming from the branches of cacti. These cacti that had been growing on the branches of the trees. This was the sign sent from the heavens to signify that Christmas was here.
Yep.
So is there anything to add that I forgot?
No, I don't think so. I think you nailed it.
Okay, so...
Yeah, and so we have the sources of where we found these stories because, I mean, these are really cool. We had to go find them, of course.
Lots of research, yeah.
Yeah, that story was from two different sources. One was gardensupplyco.com because they're fun like that. They like to have some of this mythology, these stories behind the plants that they sell and promote. And then also thespruce.com. So they had it too. There were other places, but those are the two sources we gathered them from. So, yeah. So anyway, pretty cool. Yeah, great.
Okay, so Christmas cactus, if you have any questions or comments or any fun facts about that we didn't hit, let us know in the comments or in the chat.
Okay.
That's always fun.
So
my new favorite indoor plant.
Amaryllis.
It's gonna be it's just so majestic looking.
It's a beautiful plant.
First of all, look at the size of this bulb, you guys. It's huge.
Yeah,
it's just
so we're going to see in the
massive.
latency of the video if we can actually see the whole thing here on camera with you guys. Yep, just barely.
Okay.
Just barely.
So I think, yeah, you can see the top, it's just starting to bloom, or to pop up top here.
Right up there.
So that, it's just gorgeous. So we had a lot of fun researching because we don't know a lot about the Amaryllis plant. And there's a lot of history to it, and there's a lot of debate. And I think some things have been settled over time because there was a question of, was this the actual correct plant that was cited years ago as the true Amaryllis? Then there was debate over, did it come from South Africa or South America, or like which cultivar? So lots of history.
Yep. It's a beautiful plant. Yeah, it's a little crazy. The research we found is this one particularly is native to South Africa, and so it's a beautiful plant. There's definitely some history behind it. This is definitely a winter bloomer though, and sometimes you can buy these. They haven't even grown up yet. You can buy them in a kit, and it comes in a box in a pot. And all you got to do is just take it out of that box and put the pot down somewhere, water it, and put it in the correct location which is indirect light, and this thing just pops up out of the ground. All you gotta do is just keep watering it, and it just does all of this by itself.
That's amazing.
Yeah, people give them away as gifts.
I know, and I was wondering, I read that you don't even need soil as a medium. You can grow these in rocks.
Oh,
so I was
cool.
wondering if anybody's ever tried that.
Wow, yeah, let us know in the comments, you guys.
In the world.
That would be so awesome.
It's just so beefy, and the fact that it's very robust, it seems like. I mean, if you can grow it pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, let's see what we got.
Well, it comes in large red and white blooms, which is great for Christmas, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
We just need a green bloom and we'll be set.
Well, and didn't we read also, it's forced bloom this time of year for indoor plant,
Yeah,
right?
this one was forced. Yeah, usually it's not blooming just yet.
Because I also read that it could bloom in spring and summer in some places, so it's kind of interesting how that happens.
It's an easy plant to manipulate to flower.
Yeah,
one
that's
of those
cool.
easier ones. Yeah. So so you can see it's very showy for Christmas, and so should we get to the legend?
Yeah, let's get to the legend.
Let's get to the stories here. Okay, so I got to read this because there's a lot here. You guys.
We want to make sure we get these right because these are cited from other places.
So the legend is that Amaryllis is associated with Christmas as a hybrid Amaryllis, or a hybrid Amaryllis, I guess. St. Joseph's staff.
Oh, that's right.
And so it was introduced in the 16th century, according to an online resource. Gardenguides.com, online resource. The African Garden was the online resource, sorry. But there's two sources.
There are two sources, yeah.
So St. Joseph's staff, it's a reference to the legend that St. Joseph was chosen to become husband to the Virgin Mary after his staff sprouted amaryllis flowers during the selection process conducted by a high priest. The name Amaryllis itself is derived from the Greek word that means to sparkle. And once you see the blooms, you'll understand.
I can't wait.
They sparkle. They're beautiful. And its botanical name, Hippiastrum, is Greek for night star. So, isn't that beautiful?
This was the one that we read about, or am I getting this mixed up? That, sorry, you guys, looking at my notes really quick. That had to do with Portuguese, right? So Amaryllis,
Yes.
they think, of course, you know, there's always debate on plants and where they actually came from and who actually found them. I mean, Carl Linnaeus found a lot of species and named a lot of species, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Or people found them and he named them. I'm not going to go into all that history, but basically they think that Portuguese explorers, or possibly Spanish, found this plant in South Africa, brought it back home, right? And the Portuguese were the ones that had this this St. Joseph staff legend, and it came from, and the name Amaryllis actually translates into like a Portuguese word for Amaryllis, or St. Joseph. Let's see, I might not be explaining that correct, so maybe I'll.
Well, but it definitely makes. Well, no, not all of it.
Not all of
it. But I do. It does make sense that the Portuguese brought this back, or maybe the Spanish too. But the Portuguese around that time were the ones that were leaving. They were leaving Europe and going around Africa, and you know, the Canary Islands and the Azores, and they came down and they went around the bottom of Africa. Magellan, something like that. Geography's fun. So they went around. They were doing all that. They were traveling during that time. They were some of the first explorers. So it would make sense that they brought this back.
So, I mean, that reminded me of something I read, but that's so cool. Anyway, if you have an Amaryllis, you've been able to enjoy it, and these can live for like 50 years if they're taken care of properly.
Amazing plant.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
And also, it would be cool to know who can grow this in their own outside landscape.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you can grow this in your landscape outside, in your garden outside, let us know.
Let us know.
That'd be so cool.
I know. Isn't that cool? Because we clearly can't grow it here. It is an indoor plant.
Yep. So
let's move this out of the way. Thank you. Next plant we are going to talk about is the Christmas rose hellebore, right?
Christmas rose hellebore.
Which, again, it's outside.
It can't be here today.
It cannot be here today.
It's outside today.
But it's a beautiful plant. Ours is really young still, so it's very immature. We just planted it in the past year. I don't even think it's a year old. I don't remember.
No, it's not. It was a year old last January.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still
just in the beginning of this year.
Cool. So it's very immature. We're loving the way it's growing. It's very healthy and it's in bloom. It actually started blooming before Thanksgiving this year, which was very early.
Yeah, we've had some interesting plant activity with a lot of different plants doing odd things in the fall.
Really odd.
Yeah. Anyway.
But let's talk about hellebores for a minute, because it's a cool plant family anyway. They bloom most of them bloom in the winter. It's they're usually shade loving, which is
most of them are shade loving. They'll take a little bit of part sun, but they do like the shade.
That's awesome.
They don't like to be transplanted though once they're in their home, their garden home. So keep that in mind.
Oh, that's good. That's a really good tip. And one thing about the Christmas rose hellebore, or Hellebores niger, it actually was known for it has black roots.
And that's where
you could probably talk more about that.
Well, and that's, to riff off what you said.
That's cool.
Its roots are black, and it was used medicinally way back when, because it's native to Europe. It's native to Central and Southern Europe, the Mediterranean.
Like the Mediterranean. Yeah.
So it was dug up, and the roots were used medicinally. So the roots were black, so they named it. The botanical name is Hellebores niger. Niger in Latin meaning black, because of the black roots.
And sometimes it's actually referred to as the black hellebore, which is, it's actually a kind of a rose-ish colored flower. It starts off more white, and kind of as it matures, the flower actually kind of changes to more of a pink color. So that's kind of fun too.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that it was used medicinally, because it's actually considered poisonous.
To the touch.
Right.
It's poisonous to the touch, but somehow way back when our forefathers figured out medicinal purposes for a lot of different things, including the Hellebores niger.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So there are actually two legends, kind of very similar, that we found in our research.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want me to do this one?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the legend of the Christmas rose hellebore says that there was a little girl, and this was in the Mediterranean area, I believe that this legend came out of. A little girl wanted to give baby Jesus a gift. It's very similar, actually, to the poinsettia, isn't it? She wanted to give a gift, but had nothing to give, and she was really sad. One legend states that an angel came to her and took her outside and touched the ground, and where the angel touched the ground, beautiful white Christmas rose hellebore flowers popped up, and the little girl was able to take the flowers and use that as a gift. So now it came from the University of Vermont as a source, and from the Royal Horticultural Society, they have a very similar version, but there was a little girl who was sad. She was very poor and didn't have any gifts for baby Jesus. And she went outside and cried, and her tears became the flowers of the Christmas rose hellebore.
Once they hit the ground, they just instantly produced.
Yeah, kind of spraying out of the ground.
Yep.
And she was able then, again, to use that as a gift. So kind of similar versions. It's interesting that two very good sources have, like, I don't know what's real.
Yeah, it is fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
A little bit of mythology.
Yeah. So, so that's the hellebore.
Yeah.
Beautiful plant. Let us know if you have one down in the comments there. Looks like we've got some
we've got Sonia Harris and Real Genie. We've got,
hey guys.
Yeah, I hope you guys are having a great time and happy holidays to both of you.
Yeah.
And everyone else who's watching.
Yeah, totally.
Not
Happy
sure
holidays, guys.
If Perla came back.
I don't know. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So last but not least, number 5 is English holly. The holly plant.
What's this?
Yeah, so you guys have probably heard some Christmas songs, and holly's intermixed with a couple of them. There's a lot of talk of holly and mistletoe and different things.
Boughs of holly.
Yeah,
right.
boughs of holly. So, yeah, this is an English holly. It's actually native to the British Isles and then across different parts of Europe. So it grows a lot of different places. It's actually considered a noxious weed in our area, just English holly alone. This is a variegated species.
That's pretty though, I like the
yeah, it's got that lighter green, almost yellow on the leaf margins, and then the dark green in the center. So but it is considered a noxious weed here where we live.
Like we could potentially we could go plant this outside, but yeah, we would be contributing to an invasive plant because they spread really fast, right?
Yeah, they spread it produces the berries, and the berries actually are eaten by the birds, and the birds spread it all over the place in random places you'd never think to look. So yeah.
This will be a container plant.
Yes,
for us.
forever. And we're gonna clip off the berries. So so yeah, but it's an easy plant to grow. It's really hardy. It takes a lot of abuse if you're ever thinking about it.
It's got spiky kind of thorns on the end of the leaves here. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they are pretty sharp.
Yeah, it's not fun. If you don't have gloves on, it's not fun to handle. Yeah. So people put hedges of these up and different things. So you can also train as a tree. So the story for Christmas holly, first source was whychristmas.com. You guys should check that out, by the way. It's a fun website. Just why, the word, W-H-Y, Christmas, all one word, .com. Fun place. So in pre-Christianity, way before the Christians came along, that's all the polytheism, the pagans, all that stuff going on. So holly, ivy, and other greenery, such as mistletoe, were originally used in pre-Christian times to help celebrate the winter solstice festival, so the coming of winter, right? So, and it was also used to ward off evil spirits and to celebrate new growth. So then when Christianity finally came along, and especially into Western Europe, the British Isles, some people wanted to keep the greenery in the house and keep that tradition. So to give it a Christian meaning, they wanted to give a Christian meaning, so, but some places wanted to ban it because they wanted to stop that practice and not be able to let people use it to decorate their home. But in the UK and Germany, and in probably some other Northern Europe countries, they maintain the tradition and they keep the greenery as decoration, and now we have it in a lot of different songs and in our culture, so. Yeah.
It's become a Christmas tradition, right?
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of
really
people know it as holly. I actually never really knew what it looked like before. Because, I think maybe we had some in the yard, and did we pull it up?
Yeah, we pulled it up.
I feel like I remember that happening a couple years ago.
We've had little seedlings come in from birds.
Yeah.
And we pulled them up.
There's a Christian meaning to this though. Do we explain that yet? So looking at the plant itself, it's got these prickly leaves. It's generally evergreen, or again, like Sean said, ours is variegated, and it does produce berries. So each of those parts of the plant represents some important, significant thing in Christianity. So do you want to?
Well, the Christian meanings behind holly, it's a little dark. It started out a little dark.
It is kind of
dark. The prickly leaves of the holly plant are supposed to represent to a lot of, it's kind of an old-fashioned idea. It's gotten a lot nicer over the years, but it has its dark start in the prickly leaves are supposed to be the crown of thorns of Jesus when he wore the crown of thorns when he was crucified, and then the berries represent his drops of blood when he was crucified and nailed to the cross that dripped to the ground. So a little dark.
And I read that, in addition to that, I read that the greenery of the leaves and whatnot is supposed to represent new life after death and like life going on. So that could be added to that too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's some of the legend there of holly for Christmas.
Yeah.
So lots of interesting things here. A lot of different ways and different cultures have brought all these together to now be in our house as houseplants and to help us celebrate Christmas.
And again, like we said earlier, or apologize, it might have been on our first round.
God.
But we,
was
our first take of this whole video was, if you're just joining late, we had some
so
technical
bad.
difficulties, and
So
we're back with take 2. But we did mention that there are other holiday-related plants, like you could even add into this list here the Cyclamen, which we're going to focus on. We'll be covering plant care for Cyclamen this week in our Friday plant chat.
Yep, 2 more days.
Are there any other plants you can think of? Kind of associated with
Off the top of my
Christmas?
head, no, not really. If you can, let us know. Put it in the comments section, or let us know down below if you're watching this replay. Let us know down in the comments section below here. So,
I mean, I could add mistletoe, I guess, right? That's a
Yeah,
green.
there's mistletoe.
I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah, I guess ivy. Some of
Is
our
ivy?
research,
Oh.
ivy was something in pre-Christian times to bring to the house. So,
Okay.
but
I don't want ivy in our house.
no, I don't want ivy.
I'm sure it's a
anywhere.
beautiful house plant. I mean, people probably let it grow and probably looks beautiful, but
We're not having
we have a lot of ivy outside and we have a hard time controlling it,
it.
so
And it smells.
we don't need it anymore.
We don't like it.
But we just covered 5 plants. We've covered poinsettias, Christmas cactus, amaryllis, Christmas rose, hellebore, and holly.
Yep.
All related to Christmas through mythology, through history, and just have become a part of the Christmas tradition, I guess, if you celebrate that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. All these beautiful plants.
It is. It's fun.
So, yeah. So hopefully you found that interesting. Hopefully you got a lot from that. And it's been fun to dig into this and research all these and then present it to you, talk to you live. So,
especially a couple days before Christmas, and we just want to be here and say happy holidays to you guys.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
We'll be back next Wednesday, like we mentioned earlier. So we'd love for you to join us. We're going to be recapping the whole year of 2020. Talking about our bloopers and outtakes, either from video or from the book we just wrote, which will be out in February. We had it's been a year, probably for you too.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. So come and join us next week. It'll be fun to see you there. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.